And now back to the Gunsmiths.
Hey, all right, we're back, and we're talking guns. Of course, this is the Gunsmith Show, Saturday morning, January 9th already. I want to wish a happy anniversary to my brother-in-law, Ed, and my sister-in-law, Roseanne. Happy anniversary, you guys, 23 years. And I want to wish a heartfelt grievance for I lost a good friend this week, Ron Brownrigg. Good old friend, known him for about 15 years, and a good old, just a great guy, a painter. We worked together years ago with Citizens Bank and lost him this week, and dearly missed. Didn't see him much, but when we did see each other, it was always an enjoyable talk. So to the Brownrigg family out in Flushing, my heart goes out to you. The loss is widespread. So, but this morning, it's been kind of an emotional roller coaster week with gun ownership. We've been dealing with a lot of stuff with being Americans and dealing with a very emotional subject, which is the Second Amendment. And of course, it's near and dear to our hearts. It's near and dear to, if you're probably listening to this show this morning, you're going to feel about the same way. And Jacob, you've got this kind of outlined as to how you want to talk about it, so I'm going to let you do it. Okay? We'll discuss this together, of course, but I don't want to. I have a way of putting the cart before the horse.
You always do. Yeah. Last Monday, President Obama spoke on the issue of gun laws, and his first major executive order he had talked about was that we have to stop the purchase of firearms online.
Yes.
We have to stop firearms being purchased online because criminals are buying guns.
Oh, it's just like going to Amazon.com and ordering guns. It's so easy.
Well, if anyone's ever tried this before, it doesn't really work that way. And this has been kind of the confusing item I've had all week, and I haven't heard an answer, honestly, from anybody, except for the fact that it's like that classic commercial right now for insurance. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah.
There's some legal aspects to buying a firearm, and you see a lot of times, right, there's a lot of times the people that have no experience with firearms purchases are the ones that are deciding laws and making ideas up that just simply aren't there.
Coming up with just
for instance,
ideas.
Buying a firearm online.
Yes.
Now, yes, you can buy guns online, but they cannot be shipped directly to your house. Now, that they could prior to 1968 when you could buy one in the Sears catalog. That's how Lee Harvey Oswald bought his rifle.
Yeah.
Through some military surplus catalog, and it shipped to his house.
You could, the old magazines, you can order them. Just send a letter and your check for $17.95, and you got your military grade weapon.
We have that old replica Sears catalog.
Yes.
And there's 6 pages of shotguns and handguns, and they were just shipped to your house. This was in like 1911, 1912. Right. Things have changed after the Gun Control Act of 1968.
And we're talking 1968.
Yes.
Nearly 50 years ago, this change went into place, and yet they're still not talking about it properly on nationwide TV by our president. So, anyways, frustrating for us gun owners that follow the law and know what we're talking about.
When you want to buy a gun,
yes.
Let's say you go online. Let's say you're listening in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
You see a gun on Williams' website.
Yes.
That you want to buy.
Yes.
You call them. You say, I'd like to buy this gun. I see it online. Okay, great. We'll take your credit card number, but it has to be shipped. We need an FFL licensed dealer number that you can ship it to.
Right.
Now, the difference, this is how this goes. And everybody, you can go on Gunbroker. You can go on Gunbroker and see this as well. When a gun is sold to you, everybody has the same disclaimer. You must be legally allowed to own this firearm in your state.
Right.
Because a lot of states, California, you cannot just buy an AR-15 in California. Now, if you were to buy that gun and it was to be shipped to an FFL and you go to the FFL dealer and fill out the paperwork and you're not allowed to own that gun, you've lost the rights to own that legally.
Yes.
Now, FFL dealer might fudge stuff for you, and that's where this gets into some problems.
Which I
And they
don't see them
shouldn't.
doing it, because why would an FFL dealer do this?
Exactly.
Because they're risking. It's not worth it for them, for you to get the gun and they go to prison. It makes no sense.
For one sale, it's not worth it.
This is their livelihood. They've the entrepreneur spirit is in these people to start their own FFLs or start their own business, and there's plenty of them around. We've got lots of near and dear friends to us here at the Gunsmith Show that have their own FFL licenses. And why do they have it? Because they're collectors. They want a deal. They want to turn their weekend hobby into a business. And some of them do it at gun shows, and some of them do it online. But they're doing it as licensed dealers. They're doing it right because they're inspected and checked all the time. We've dealt with people that have gotten stung by ATF agents, and they basically, back a long time ago, they were really manufacturing ways to undermine FFL dealers because they wanted them thinned out, and they did. We've got several friends that gave up their FFLs because they're tired of the harshness,
oversight,
overzealous ATF agents. The chance of, why risk my wife and kids not seeing them and going to prison for a business? Come on, there's a lot of hassles about being an FFL dealer. So not something I'm interested in doing. And
to clarify everybody here.
Yes.
Currently, if you go to purchase a rifle, shotgun, or handgun at any licensed firearms dealer through the license through the government,
right?
You don't just have a Mount Morris Township business license and you're now able to sell guns. You need to have an FFL license legally. Right. You do need to fill out federal paperwork, and a background check will be called in. Now, one of the executive orders he had talked about was expanding the background check hours, so I guess now there's 24-hour background checks available through the NICS, NICS checks. Now, the exception to this is as follows. Black powder firearms.
Yes.
No background checks needed. They're black powder.
Right.
And if you have a CPL in Michigan, even if you never, ever intend to carry a gun, if you have a CPL license, a background check has already been performed on you.
Right. And
showing your card is an instant background check, and no purchase permits are required.
Right.
So even if you were never, ever intending on carrying a gun, if you intend to purchase and sell and trade guns a lot of times, the CPL might be exactly what you need.
Right.
You don't have to have a handgun purchase permit from your local police department or your sheriff's office.
Right. And so it speeds up the process, and it clarifies the process a little bit.
Yes.
So now, is it a carte blanche? Absolutely not.
No.
We still
for years they've talked about the corruption in the CPLs though as well. County, now it's going to change because we don't have county boards anymore.
Right. And they still call them in. I mean, you're still called in. Good gun dealers call in almost every single one of them anyway. They do. They stand there on the phone. They call them in. And I know people that ask why. It's because that dealer is really dotting the I's and crossing the T's. They don't have to, but they do.
Yep.
So most of your gun dealers now are double and triple checking each federal form you fill out when you buy a gun. They line the employees up and they double check to make sure that nobody's made a mistake, because they don't want any hiccups, because they know how tight the government is watching. And that's good. It's good for all of us, because we don't want the wrong people getting guns either. It gives us all a black eye when somebody does a bad gun crime. And as the craziness of America is sometimes, every time it happens, gun sales skyrocket because the thought of repercussions from the government.
Now, the issue the government is trying to combat here is the sales that go on that they consider untracked sales.
Yes.
Because somehow untracked sales cause more crime than tracked sales, apparently. But let's face it, majority of firearms that are used in crimes across the nation are either obtained illegally through theft or are somehow, well, I guess it's still theft when you take it, from a family member that's not yours, or it's been illegally brought into this country,
Right.
shipped across the border, came in in a case of something else that you ordered,
Yeah.
Specifically for that.
Well, I don't understand all the hype around the illegal guns. Illegal guns are illegal guns. They're stolen. They've been stolen somewhere, and they've popped back up, and they've been used in a crime. And so where do we have to be diligent? We have to be diligent. We have to be, as gun owners, we have to be diligent about locking up our guns when they're not in use. True?
True.
We have to be diligent in locking up our guns when we leave them in the car when we go into a sporting event. We hope for good armed guards in the parking lot watching our vehicles when we have to do this. And then, of course, when you go into an establishment like a bar or a nightclub and you're going in for some place that serves alcohol, you're not going to partake in it yourself, but you have to lock your gun up and leave it in the car because you can't carry it into those places. These are where they get stolen from. They get stolen from the mall parking lot. They get stolen from cars all the time. So we have to be diligent about locking up our guns and keeping things safe for those around us. And that's terribly important. I mean, terribly important.
Yep.
So
Now,
we could literally talk about this for hours today. We could go on all day long talking about this. Now, Jake, you wanted to bring up a pretty good point here about Chicago, and I don't want to jump way ahead, but you let's, when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about Chicago if we can.
go ahead.
Is that okay with you? All right, well, let's go to commercial break, and let's come back, and we'll be back in just a minute with more from the Gunsmith Show.
If you want your home to feel sound, not around, call Pal Alarm. To protect your safekeepings and stop anyone from peeking, call Pal Alarm. When the house gets locked down so you can get out of town, call Pal Alarm. Give Pal Alarm a call today at 810-908-8298. That's 810-908-8298 or palalarm.com.
Man's got to know his limitations.
You just can't spend a whole day at the gun store anymore.
Thankfully, the crew at Williams Gunsight Company has created the best way to spend the day at the gun store by doing it online.
WilliamsGunsight.com is the way to shop for your used handguns, rifles, shotguns, and more, with thousands of guns in stock for your total gun shopping experience.
Check out WilliamsGunsight.com and find your perfect match today.
And now back to the Gunsmiths.
All right, welcome back to the Gunsmith Show. It is Saturday morning, January 9th, 2016. Jacob?
Yes.
We're
Here talking about hashtag Guns in America.
Is that what it is?
That's how it was
Hashtag
all
Guns in
pushed. It was hashtag Guns in America.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Okay. All right. What I was mentioned before the break.
Yes.
The name Chicago is synonymous with gun control. It has been for years and years and years and years. 25 years. Guns. It's a place where they don't want guns there. Unfortunately, it's become the place in America that is most commonly referred to as where gun crimes happen.
Yes.
So what's the issue here? When President Obama the other night said, let's talk about, facts. Well, the facts are very clear. Where guns are illegal is where the biggest gun crimes are.
Exactly.
You don't see these problems in other towns. And honestly, every time I go to Chicago, my hair stands up because I'm not comfortable where I can't carry. I'm not comfortable where I know there might not be armed citizenry around me to protect me or my family or my friends when we're out and about the town. And I know there's other people that go, oh, that's ridiculous. We love that town. But look at the amount of murders there. And that's Chicago. But like President Obama said the other night, Southern Illinois is a hunting mecca. Right. I have tons of friends that go there just to deer hunt because the deer hunting's so good. And there's guns all over the place. But up there in North Illinois, unfortunately, it gives the whole middle of this country a bad name because of the idiots there that don't know anything about guns, how to use them, how to properly handle them, how to interact with others with guns. These guys are just murdering thugs, and that's what we're dealing with. Should that be my problem here? What I do to combat it is I keep my guns locked up. I keep them secure. You should too. We're responsible gun owners, and that's what it all boils down to. Responsible gun owners don't allow this stuff to happen. We have an armed citizenry in this state, in Michigan. We have an armed citizenry all over America, pretty much, where it's allowed. And it helps combat crime. Ask the good police chiefs. They know that they want an armed citizenry because they know the police can't get there quick enough. True?
That's true.
All right. Now I'm going to shut up and sit down and let you keep going. So what do you want to talk about now, Jake?
Thursday night, CNN had that town hall meeting with the president.
They sure did.
And I applaud CNN for hosting a very good event.
Anderson Cooper did quite a job.
He did a great job, and he didn't let the easy questions slide.
Yeah.
But what he didn't do is this is what happened, though. The president failed to answer any questions.
He didn't answer a single one.
Right.
He politically jibber-jabbered around everything and flagged his hands around. And
now the questions were extremely focused, and he got to the point. However, like I said, none were answered. But one point kept getting brought up, and this was kind of what they blamed on a lot of the guns in Chicago. They said vans are driving in.
Yeah.
Driving in the city. People are opening the back doors of the vans, and you can walk up and buy guns.
Yeah.
Now, that sounds like a bad thing.
Yeah.
Now, afterwards, CNN had their panel of professionals, or self-proclaimed professionals.
Yeah, well, they were handpicked.
They had a
from the country
former U.S. deputy district attorney general, and they asked her, "You've been in law for a long time. Have you ever heard of a case where there's been a van driving into the city, opening the back doors, and selling guns?" And she says, "I've never heard of that."
Sounds more like a bad
They said, so why are we focused on making laws change things that we've never actually seen happen?
Yes.
When we're not focusing our laws on mental health,
yes,
and other things that we have proven to happen.
Yeah.
So on that, we have a caller.
Yes. Hi, caller. Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning, Jonathan and Jacob. This is Bob from Grand Blanc, and
Hi,
I
Bob.
won't take up too much time. I'll get out of the way and let some other folks who are wanting to call in. But Jonathan and Jacob, I support what you're doing. What you guys do is very important, so that people can at least be educated when they're making that determination to purchase a firearm to protect themselves, their family, and their property. So what you guys do, without trying to sound like some sort of a commercial, I'm very sincere, gentlemen. What you guys do, at least from my point of view, Jonathan and Jacob, is very important to help people defend themselves. Now, having said that, I've often had this comparison to some of the laws that President Obama and whoever will follow him, who happens to have a problem with firearms in this country in general, and the Second Amendment in particular. Let's take this to a different area as to what may happen, and I know it's an abstraction, and I won't take too long. It seems to me, guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, that more people in this country are either abused or harmed or either killed, lose their life through alcohol abuse and domestic violence, and the two being related to one another. Try this on for size in terms of laws that may come down the road in the future with a person who has a problem with alcohol. Suppose an individual, we already know that your age is checked to see if you can purchase the beverage properly. We already know that age is checked. But try this on for size. Say in the future, if an individual walks into his or her store and they want to make a purchase, say, for example, during the background check, when they swipe the driver's license, that information in the technological age that we live in, if the information is imparted on that driver's license, that not only will determine their age, but what happens if this person, as a result of technology, it's discovered that this person has a certain accumulated number of points on their driving record.
Right.
Say if this individual has had maybe one or two personal protection orders issued against them throughout their history. What happens if this person has a disease such as diabetes, which the last thing that you want to do is be drinking, and that person, as a result of all of those pieces of information, is refused the sale? My point is this. It's not only going to happen with guns. It may happen with other areas of our life that responsible people enjoy, but unfortunately a minority abuses, and it could involve the rest of a responsible public from enjoying those benefits of life. I'm sorry to be so long-winded, gentlemen. Have a great day.
Bob, as always, thank you very much. Your words are always bright and very
spot on.
Yeah, right on the money.
What would happen if this was instead we're going against guns, we were against alcohol?
Yeah.
We already had prohibition that failed.
We know that alcohol kills more people than just about anything in this country. And
and a great point was brought up Thursday night. 10,000 people are killed every year by guns.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. 8,000 of those are suicides.
Yes, exactly.
8,000 people a year are killed by suicide and firearms.
Wasn't it 30,000 a year killed? It was 30,000 a year. 20,000 a year are suicides.
Okay.
10,000 are through crime. But on that, it's like 80% of that was crime on crime.
There's only
criminals killing criminals.
The last numbers I saw was 2,300 people a year in America are homicide victims with guns.
Right.
And I guarantee you there's more people than that, like Bob said, killed by domestic abuse, assault, alcoholic reasonings.
Here's something to put into perspective. In Syria, I bet you ISIS has beheaded 2,300 Christians this year. Is it making the news? Barely. No. You know what I'm saying? So we have evil out there all around us, and they want to take away the one thing we have to defend ourselves, which is ridiculous. And then the fight comes at us. We don't want to take your guns away. Bull. You do. And the more you can take away, the happier you're going to be. And that's basically what it comes down to. So, as educated individuals, American citizens, we try to do everything right so that we don't infringe on our rights at all. Because the last thing I want to do is lose my ability to own or have firearms. Am I right in that, or am I wrong?
You're right.
It's not the way you were trying to go with this conversation.
Well,
also,
I want to be. It's not that the government is anti-gun.
True.
I don't. They're trying to restrict it in very dumb ways.
Well, when you define the government, though, we're discussing.
That's what
it's a lot of people.
I get at here is that
it's like when you go to a GM plant. Not everybody in that GM plant working is a union thug. Not everybody is an anti-union person. We're a great mix of people.
I know,
and so we don't mean to cluster all these bad things around the government. But
now when I listened Thursday, and what I've read and listened to since then,
mm-hmm.
nobody has talked about gun confiscation.
Right.
Nobody has done that. Nobody has talked about gun collections and turning in your guns. But what they're talking about is making it a little more difficult to purchase firearms and a little more difficult to sell firearms. Now, is that just the beginning? It very well could be.
First step.
Yep. Now, and there's a fight, we have to maintain. And I was attacked this past week online because I posted a picture. It said, why do I fight for this AR? And it showed a picture of Rosa Parks on a bus, and it said, because we fight the same way that Rosa Parks fought for her rights.
Right.
And I was attacked for that, and I want us to do it like this. Let's look at where we stand as a nation since the year 2000. We have so many new rights and freedoms. Gay marriage is legal. Medical marijuana is out there. Who would have thought in the year 2000 that states like Michigan, now it's going to be on the ballot this year?
Men can become women.
Men can become women. We have our first mixed race president. These are all things that never was thought of before the year 2000. Cars are faster than ever. Science is evolving at such a rate. Like Bob said, technology. You can have things on your driver's license that could tell you if diabetes or whatnot. Now, yet with the evolution in science revolving around firearms, that's why I put this on there. We have to fight for our rights.
Yeah.
And in the same way, Rosa Parks sat in the front of that bus to combat that. It's not fair. You can't segregate people.
Right.
But we have to stand up and fight for our rights to own items like rifles and handguns and not have them taken away, because it's our right to have these, and who is it that gets to decide? And why do we live in a society and allow it to happen where somebody can just stand up there with no authority beyond their own? And unfortunately, they've been placed in this position. Why do we allow somebody to stand there and tell us, you don't need to have this rifle?
Yeah.
You don't need this.
And oftentimes they're very hypocritical.
Very hypocritical, because we don't need these rifles.
Right.
Yeah, you take a look at every time that president steps out of his motorcade.
Oh.
How many rifles
160 people with guns protect every time.
one person in his family, because he wants his family protected.
Right.
Of course, he's the
Sends his
president.
kids to private school.
He should be protected. So what is making him different? Because 9 years ago, he was the same as you and I.
Well, a little bit longer.
10,
yeah.
12 years
He's
ago.
been a senator for a little while.
For
a short time.
3.5 years.
Right.
So what is it that makes him any different than us? Besides the fact that people voted for him.
And
it's the hypocritical, and it's not just the president. It's senators, it's congressmen.
Well, people
our own Dan Kildee.
Yeah.
Our own U.S. representative from the Flint district is all for the crime in Flint, and it's due to too many guns on the streets. What if this was to be reversed, Mr. Representative, and you say we need more legal law-abiding gun owners in the city of Flint, and you watch crimes drop?
Right.
If you were to allow neighborhood watch, citizen patrols with firearms, with flashlights, they'd be held to the same laws. You're not allowed to shoot people. This is not the Wild West. This is the city of Flint. Mm-hmm. Allow these people to legally carry, legally own firearms, and watch the crime drop, because the thugs that break the laws will continue to cower and hide the way they do, and crime will drop in the city of Flint. It's not a gun problem we have. It's a lack of morals, and it's a lack of being taught anything their entire life about the value of life.
No proper gun training, and no love of life. That's one of these kids have very little to live for. Very little to live for. They don't look forward to anything. What do they have to look forward to? Let's go back 40 years. 40 years ago, Genesee County was the shining light of America.
It was.
The highest income per capita. Look at what this town what has happened to Genesee County. In the grand scheme of things, it is the bucket of crud that has been swept. It's gone into the sewer. It is literally, this town has changed so much in 40 years.
Yes.
Under one party rule, under one mind thinking has led to this. Now, yes, we have some wonderful things in Genesee County, but we don't have a future for our kids.
There's no future.
There's no future. There's nothing for them. There's not a job
My
for them to work
favorite
for.
is when you find out there are no licensed math teachers at Flint Northwestern High School. How can you have a high school with 900 high school students in it and there's no math teachers?
Yeah. Well, look at the
how do they know how many rounds to put in the magazine? Anyways, before we go to commercial break, I want to end this conversation on this note. I hope, and I still will continue to hope, that the mission of the government, or whoever that certain group is that happens to be in control of our nation, because we all know there's something higher than our U.S. government that controls what goes on.
Yeah, there's some big money controlling everything.
I hope that the mission is not to disarm the populace because of what happens. And I think that's why in our heart we don't want to turn in and have a gun registry, because we know that's what led to the annihilation of the Jewish race in Germany.
Right.
We don't want that to happen because we know what will happen.
And that's what's happening in
the issue of a gun registry is that everything you own is registered already, from iPhones to your computer to your car.
Right.
And it's known about. There's no secrecy anymore in our society, and I want to look at everything we do in today's age and think about it. What's wrong with a little bit of secrecy?
Well,
what's wrong with... if you had a gun, would you tell your neighbor that you keep it in your bedstand and the code is 111 to your safe?
No.
No. It's secret. What's wrong with having a secret?
I don't, it's not posted on your mailbox. Here's my bank account number and this is how much money I have in it. Why would it be any different with your gun ownership? So Let's go to commercial break.
It's and maybe not secret, but it's being private. It's keeping something
keeping things
private.
And and I do know that as far as gun registry goes, this here in the state of Michigan, we know that there is a they keep a list. Let's put it that way. State police have a list of what we have. If you've bought a gun legally, they have a list of what you have, and they can print it out at any time. When you're pulled over, the police officer can find out what you have, and that way, if you are carrying concealed, they can actually see if that gun is even registered in your name. So it's not that the list doesn't exist; it is out there. So there is that list that we all talk about or we have discussed. It is out there, but is it a terrible thing? No, as long as it's used in a proper way, it's fine. So, all right, well, listen, we got to go to commercial break again, so hang on tight. We got a little bit more of the Gunsmith Show coming up, so fill up that coffee. We'll be right back.
Do you have a project that requires custom cabinetry or custom woodwork? If so, you need to see the friendly and knowledgeable sales team at Michigan Lumber Company. For years, the experienced staff at Michigan Lumber have been turning out beautifully handcrafted molding and custom millwork right here in the Flint area. And believe me, they're totally dedicated to quality and complete customer satisfaction. So call 810-232-4108, 232-4108, or log on to MichiganLumber.com. Michigan Lumber Company, proudly serving the Flint and surrounding communities for over 90 years. That's experience you can count on.
If you want your home to feel sound when you are not around, call Pal Alarm. To protect your safekeepings and stop anyone from peeking, call Pal Alarm. When the house gets locked down so you can get out of town, call Pal Alarm. Give Pal Alarm a call today at 810-908-8298. That's 810-908-8298 or palalarm.com.
Attorney Timothy J. Cassidy is the pro-gun attorney that we here at the Gunsmith Show use.
With more than 20 years of experience as a prosecuting attorney, law professor, and holding a past seat on the Genesee County Gun Board,
Tim Cassidy is your pro-gun attorney.
contact Attorney Cassidy today at 810-569-5441 or email him at attorneycassidy@gmail.com.
And now, back to the Gunsmiths.
Welcome back to the Gunsmith Show. It's closing in on the top of the hour here. I want to clarify something for Dave, who sent us an email. Yes, we talked about that 5-cent tax on ammo, and it's $25 on every firearm in the city of Seattle.
Yeah, we'll get some clarification
so
on it
don't
and find out more.
You don't have to buy your ammo in Seattle. You could simply go out to another city and
go
purchase
to Portland or go somewhere else and buy
Olympia,
your ammo.
Washington. There's options, and that's just to prove right there that wait a second, it's why buy your ammo there? You can buy it somewhere else.
Right.
So the 5-cent tax is in the state of Washington in Seattle, and it's aimed to somehow curb. They say that if ammo has a tax on it, the criminals aren't gonna use it. So
Yeah.
well, there must be a giant wall around Seattle that stops people from bringing stuff in and out.
Well, I didn't know. I think Seattle probably has a bigger problem with heroin than they do with guns. I would assume so. Most big cities do. And maybe they should tax heroin. Maybe that might be a smarter idea.
But anyways. And our attorney, anyways, that's another topic there.
Yeah.
But now, do you want to go into some different languages here for firearms usage?
Yeah, we can. Let's talk guns a little bit. How about that instead of politics?
All right. Now, let's hear it. Everybody's seen the things or someone, that's a clip. My gun comes with 3 clips. And
Yeah.
That's not a clip. You need to learn your, time out.
Well, let's clarify.
As gun owners, we cannot be against each other because of simple wording. But we're here to help you so that
you can be more knowledgeable as a gun.
Yes.
If you're going out to buy a gun, one of the most important things I've ever seen in all my years of taking people to gun shops and explaining and trying to help them make an educated purchase is the more knowledge they have when they walk in the door, the more comfortable they're going to be. The worst thing a gun salesman can do is burst their bubble. I have so many times seen gun salespeople be hard on women customers hard on uneducated customers when they need to be welcoming.
They're there for
And-
your help.
Yeah,
You're the salesperson.
and somebody's paying that person to be there to help you, and unfortunately, sometimes they don't get it.
So we've got 5 terms, and we're going to break it up into 2 pieces here.
Okay.
The first 2 terms are the difference between a clip and a magazine.
All right. This is important because
It is.
This, hey, how many clips comes with that gun?
Right.
Well, let's
no
clarify.
clips come. It comes with 3 magazines, though.
There you go.
All right. A clip is a device that is used to store rounds of ammunition together until they are ready to be inserted into a magazine or the firearm.
So
Such as, they're called maybe like a stripper clip. It's a strip of metal or a strip of aluminum or brass that holds 10 rounds, and it's made to hold the rounds to press straight down. You
Into the gun.
unfold the bevel at the one side, you press them straight down, and it loads into a magazine.
right, or just put them on there and push. A lot of military weapons were built to be loaded fast. A lot of your bolt action rifles loaded fast with these.
Yes.
They also make them for AK-47s, SKS rifles,
AR-15
magazines. They are the fast way to load magazines.
Yes.
Now,
It's a way of storing ammo
without them being loose.
Instead of keeping it all in a Ziploc
Right.
bag.
If you have a pocket full of ammo and you're in the Army, it's going to be clanging and clattering around. But if they're in a stripper clip,
They'll
or
call
in
you
a
Mr.
clip,
Jingles.
yeah. If they're in a clip, they're quiet and they're held. And you
Yes.
can hold 10 of them in the palm of your hand without them falling all over the place.
Now,
Clips are very handy. And that is what a clip is.
A magazine.
A magazine is inserted into the gun, and it's usually a metal or plastic housing.
and there's
with
typically a spring.
Right, there's a spring in it. So the difference between a clip and a magazine, this is important for you to know. Remember, the clip is a piece of metal that holds the bullets,
The rounds.
the rounds. The magazine is inserted into the gun, and it has a spring in it, and it holds the bullets for you and loads into the gun. So if you see a pistol, a lot of pistols have magazines that slide into the grip of the gun. Remember, they're magazines, not clips. Okay? These are simple terms, but it can help you come across as a more knowledgeable gun owner or gun purchaser and make you more comfortable right off the bat with a salesman. So what else, Jake?
And the salesperson's going to know you have somewhat of an idea of what you're talking
you have
about.
a little more knowledge
Yep.
about what you're doing.
All right. The other 3 terms: flash suppressor, muzzle brake, or compensator.
Okay.
3 terms widely used. Now, these are referring to at the end of a barrel.
Usually of a rifle.
Usually of a rifle, and some of these, the compensators and muzzle brakes, can sometimes be on handguns. There's usually items that have holes on the side of it, or holes on the top or the bottom, and here's what they are. Okay, a flash suppressor has one job. That's to guard the shooter from a significant portion of the visible flash.
Helps you for night firing.
Almost like a flash guard against, night
Yeah,
firing.
Night firing.
Now, they do not hide a flash from the target.
Right.
So
you can still see them from the
You
front.
can still see this flash coming from the front. It only hides, or it attempts to hide the flash from whoever's behind it to stop night blindness.
Right. They can also, some flash hiders can also disperse the gases and stop a little bit of muzzle lift, but not much.
That's where you get into a flash suppressor that is also a muzzle brake.
There you go.
Muzzle brake's job is to direct gases away and keep the firearm on target. Counteracts the force.
Right.
Reduces felt recoil back on the shooter as well. That's what a muzzle brake will do.
It can help you shoot more comfortably.
Now, a compensator is typically, it's a vent that lets gases escape upwards out of the firearm. This is usually on a handgun. Handguns usually will have a compensator. Not usually. A compensator will typically be on a handgun.
Used for competition.
Used for competitions.
Right. And it'll also be on some Magnum hunting rifles to allow a little bit of felt recoil reduction, and it can make a big difference
Yes.
for big guns.
Yes.
So these are just little terms we want to try
3
to
terms. See if you can use either compensator, muzzle brake, or flash suppressor this week.
Okay, there
That's
you go.
that's your homework. So, in the coming week, remember, you can check us out online, thegss.com.
Yes.
That's our website. We're on Facebook at The Gunsmith Show. Also, we're on Twitter. Follow us there, Gunsmith Show. And you can always send us an email, shooter@thegss.com. And don't forget, we have a YouTube page, folks. You can listen if you want to re-listen to this show or last week's show. Last week's show's on YouTube. It's a great show if you get a chance to tune in and listen to that one again.
All right. I want to say welcome to Aaron Wiles. Aaron joined us on Facebook today. Thank you, Aaron. And we'll get a coffee mug out to you as soon as we can get some information on you. So stay tuned. We got Mike Gaylord coming right up. I was thinking of Bob Steele. Mike Gaylord's coming right up.
So until next week, I'm Jake.
I'm John. Have a great week, everybody. Shoot straight, shoot off, and God bless America.